Street photography is excellent practice for other genres of photography. Once you start doing street photography, Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto and I'm a photographer. Welcome to another video from Melbourne, Australia. In this video I'm going to share 4 good reasons to start doing street photography today, just in case you haven't started already. But let me first define street photography. My definition of street photography is pretty broad, pretty liberal, because I have a liberal mind. I think pretty much any picture that has some human interaction or signs of human interaction or human presence qualifies as a street photo. For example, if there is a remote location, like a tourist attraction, for example, and there's a parking lot and there's a trash can at the parking lot, if you manage to compose a good-looking picture of the trash can without any people, I think even that qualifies as a street photo. If there's a person, that's even better. I know that my definition is pretty liberal and there are other definitions of street photography, and that's fine with me. There's no right or wrong. Reason number 1. Street photography is inexpensive. No matter what other genres of photography you do, you always need some specific equipment. If you shoot macro, you need a macro lens. If you shoot portraits, you need a portrait lens. If you shoot landscape, you need a whole bag full of gear. At least if you watch some of the landscape photographers' videos, they always have a huge backpack full of gear, and they sometimes even have camping gear with them. And if you shoot birds, wildlife, you need a super telephoto lens and a camera that has really super autofocus tracking capabilities or whatever. But with street photography, you don't need any special expensive gear. Only whatever camera you have qualifies or is good enough, and even the cheapest kit lens does the job. Sometimes you see these videos or stories of people using their $20,000 Leica gear for street photography, and it's easy to somehow misunderstand that you need a Leica or some super expensive gear for street photography, but that is not true. Any gear, even a phone camera, is good enough for street photography. Even an old camera or even a manual focus lens is good enough. Street photography is very, very inexpensive. You don't need any super special, super expensive equipment. Reason number 2, you can do street photography pretty much anywhere and everywhere. You don't have to travel far, you don't have to travel to faraway destinations to shoot street. You can shoot street while you are commuting, especially if you're using public transport like a tram, for example. There's always something to photograph as long as you have your camera with you. Most of us have to do grocery shopping every once in a while. You can shoot street photos at the parking lot of the grocery store as long as you have your camera with you. Even if you don't live in a big city like Melbourne or some other big city, you can still do street photography. You can always find some signs of human interaction or human presence pretty much anywhere and everywhere, even if you live in a small village in the middle of nowhere. So if you just use your imagination, you can find street photos anywhere and everywhere. Reason number 3, I think it's now 3, street photography is not very technically challenging. So even if you're a beginner or you are not very technically oriented photographer, it's easy to start street photography. There are so many excellent street photos that are not even tag sharp, but they still work extremely well as street photos. But for example, let's say you are shooting flying birds and you have the bird beautifully framed in the picture, but if the bird is not tag sharp, it pretty much does not work. But with street photos, you don't have to worry about ultimate technical perfection or ultimate sharpness. Even if you shoot at high ISO values, you get noise in your pictures, it doesn't matter. As long as the picture tells a story and there's a decisive moment or some good action in there, it works. It doesn't have to be technically perfect. But there are so many other genres of photography where the technical perfection means a lot more than in street photography. I'm not saying that a street photo should be a noisy, blurry mess, not at all. But if it happens to have some technical imperfections, it can still work really well as a street photo. Sometimes when you are out there on the street shooting, it may not work for you. Maybe you can't see anything interesting or you are a little bit stuck. Then relax, have a cup of nice coffee and take a break, and then after that maybe you can see a whole new world out there. And while you're enjoying your coffee, keep your eyes open because there might be a photo moment at the table right next to you. Reason number 4, street photography is also excellent practice for other genres of photography. Once you start doing street photography, you'll learn to observe what is happening around you. You'll learn to see light and shadow. You'll learn to see how compositions come together when people walk down the street and pass each other's. All those skills come in handy no matter what other type of photography you do. You always have to be able to observe the light and shadow, how the composition comes together, even if you're doing wildlife photography, landscape photography, or some other type of photography. Street photography is better teacher than any other genre of photography because on the street things happen quickly and the photo moment comes unexpectedly most of the time, and you generally don't have time to pre-visualize your shot, so you have to be able to learn to see quickly and make quick decisions and hit the shutter when the right moment happens in front of your camera. That's why street photography is very, very good teacher, and it can teach you many things that are handy and practical also in other types of photography. This is all I have for you in this video. I hope this encourages you to start street photography if you haven't done that already. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful or useful, please do consider buying me a cup of coffee. There's a link down below for that if you don't live in Finland. Thanks so much, and I'll definitely see you soon in the next video.